Hi all and welcome back. In our last session, we have seen how we can perform scenario-based testing or API chaining for a given REST service. And in today's topic, we'll be looking at how we can perform scenario testing for a SOAP-based service. So for today's session, I will be considering a simple bookstore visitor from Parasoft. Okay, so this is my visitor. So let me just copy it and let's go ahead and create a project in Soapui. So click on create a new SOAP project. Paste the visitor. Let's rename the project to bookstore. So along with this, along with creating a project, I also wanted to create a test suite. So I'll be checking this option, create test suite for the imported visitor. Click on OK. Here we can choose either one test case for each operation or single test case with one request for each operation. So let me select the second one. I just wanted to have all the operations listed in a single test case. And let's use the existing request in interface, and I just click on this OK button. Let me rename this as bookstore app. Click on OK. Now let's expand this test suite bookstore app, right? Okay. So this is my test suite, and we have 7 steps, which is nothing but all these 7 set of operations: add item to cart, add new item to inventory, get item by ID. Okay, so now let's consider a simple scenario, right? So where we are searching for a book and then placing the order or adding the item to the cart, reviewing the order, and then submitting the order. So typically, if you want to do this at a UI layer, so it's quite easy to achieve this, right? But again, from the service layer, if you want to achieve the same, so let's see how it can be done. Okay, so for this scenario, so let me just choose the operations which I will be using it. So here I would need get item by title. Let me just drag to the top, and I would want to have add item to cart. So I don't want to add new item to inventory at this point of time. So let me delete this. I don't need get item by ID. So I would need get items in cart so that I can review the cart, the order which has been placed in the cart. And then finally I would be submitting the order. So all we need is 4 operations for this particular scenario. So let me just delete this update item in cart. Now if you look at, so we have 4 operations: get item by title, add item to cart, then get items in cart, and submit the order. So now we will have to form a scenario out of these 4 operations, right? So typically what we would be doing is the output of get item by title, we would be passing it as an input to add item to cart, and the output of add item to cart will be extracting the response value and will be passing it as an input to get items, and similarly for submit order. So that is how we are chaining the request and response. So before that, let us just quickly run these operations individually and see what the response looks like. So first let me choose get item by title, double click on this. So here let's say I'm searching for a Linux book. Okay, so let me just click on the play button to see the response. Okay, here it is. So we are getting the book details, right? So now let's look at the add item to cart. So here we have cart ID, item ID, and quantity details. So cart ID, anyways, right now we don't have any other details added, so let's keep it as 0. Item ID, if you look at and get item by title response, this would be your item ID. Okay, so for here we'll give the item ID as 4, and let's say I want to buy 2 books. Okay, so quantity is 2. So here we'll to consider only the item ID, which can be fetched as a response, which can be fetched from response value. Here let's hardcode cart ID and quantity number for now, and we'll be extracting the response value for item ID and we'll pass it as an input to this operation. So let's see like how it can be done. Meanwhile, let me just quickly execute this and let's look at the response for this. So here it is. This particular book details has been added to the cart, and now what we are going to do is we'll retrieve the items in the cart. So this can be achieved if you go back to the add item to cart, right? So if you look at the response, here we can see the cart ID as 2, right? So this value would be extracted and it would be passed as an input here. So let's assume that we have extracted, and let me pass this input as 2 here. So let's click on this play button. Here it is. As you can see, like the book which has been added to the cart is nothing but Linux, which we have already done in the previous set of operations, right? And now finally we would be placing the order. So here again we would need the cart ID. So I'll be giving it as 2, and as you can see the success message, right? So the order has been submitted. Okay, so now in order to replicate this scenario, which we would be doing typically at the user interface layer, right? So for any bookstore application or any Flipkart or Amazon, so where you search for an item, then add the item to the cart, and then review the cart items, and then submit the order. So typically we'll see like how the same can be simulated here. And for this, all we need is property transfer. So let me just add a step here. Right click on the this step and choose insert step and property transfer. Okay, so this is for get book ID. So let's expand this. Let's say get books. Click on OK. So here what we are going to do is in this property transfer we'll be extracting the response from get item by title, which is nothing but your ID, right? So and we'll be passing as an input to add item to cart. So first of all, like let's look at the response structure here. So we are trying to extract this, which is under book element. Okay, so let's go back here. I will write a generic XPath with followed by star // book / ID. Right, so it's book followed by ID, and in the response it's item ID. Right, so let's have a generic XPath. So where I would say again star / item ID, and here the source like is from it's from get item by title followed by like we are extracting the response, and we are writing an XPath to extract the values from ID tag, and the same is passed to add item to cart. Again, like we are passing it to the input, so that is where I've chosen request as the property, and we are passing it here. Now we can quickly validate whether this is working fine or not by just by clicking on this play button. So as you can see, like we have successfully able to extract the book ID details and able to pass the details as an input to the next operation, right? So that is where the transfer value has been listed out here. So similarly, let's add an property transfer between add items to cart and get items to cart, right? So to extract the cart ID details and pass it as an input to get items in cart. So again, like just right click on the test step and click on insert step, add one more properties transfer. So this is for add cart ID. Just click on OK. So here, like let's add a transfer get cart ID. Now here again, like the source, if you look at, so we wanted to extract the response value from add item to cart, and the property would be response. And if you look at the response, right, so it's under item added element cart ID, right? So this is the parent and this is the child. So we wanted to extract the response value from add item to cart, and the property would be response. And if you look at the response, right, so it's under item added element cart ID, right? So this is the parent and this is the child. About forward slash item added slash cart ID. Now let's take a look at the request structure for get items in cart. So it's here cart ID. Let me expand this. Let me close all this. Okay, let me expand. So in the properties, we want to pass the value to the request, right? So choose request here. Double forward slash cart ID. So let's quickly run to see if we are able to extract the values properly. Here it is. So we are able to extract the cart ID details. Similarly, let's add a property transfer here also. Okay, so to change the response of get items in cart to submit order. So right click, insert step, property transfer. So this is for submit order. Let me rename this get cart. Add a new property transfer. So let's change it to submit. Okay, so from get items in cart, we wanted to extract the response value. So let's take a look at the response structure. So here it is. So it's under cart slash cart ID, right? So let's go back. Double forward slash cart ID. Okay, and we wanted to pass it to request here. So let me choose request. Let's take a look at the request structure of submit order. So it's cart ID. So let's go back. Double forward slash cart ID. So let's quickly evaluate this. Here it is. We were able to extract the value successfully. So now let's run this scenario. So in order to run this scenario, right? So let me just double click on this test suite. So here is the scenario. So first it will execute get item by title, and it will extract the response values and pass it as an input to add item to cart. And similarly, it will execute get items in cart and followed by submit order. So let me just click on the play button. Here it is. So we successfully executed the test scenario. So let me close this. So let's do some experimentation, right? So let me just change the get item by title. So now let's say if instead of Linux I want to extract SQL books. Okay, so I'm searching for SQL books. So I just change this. Okay, so let me close this, close all, and let's go back to the test suite. Click on this play button. Let's validate. Let's take a look at the response. So now that we have executed successfully, so let's take a look at the response individually. So it was we searched for an SQL book, and the book ID or the item ID is 5, which is being passed as an input here, item ID, right? So and the cart ID, as you can see in this operation, is 4, and here in get items in cart we are passing that 4 value, and that is where we are confirming the book that has been added into the cart. And from this response we are again passing the cart ID to submit order, and here is the final response. So we have typically here we have performed a simple scenario where you are searching for a book, you are adding the book to the cart, and you are reviewing your order, and then followed by you are submitting the order. So that's all about scenario testing using Soapui services. Thanks for watching. If you like my videos, please do share it with your friends, like and subscribe. Thank you.